Okay, in the last session, we basically saw the topic as such as why, what, and how. Why do we need to study, or why do we need spirituality at all? What should be done and how it is to be done. In that context, we saw why are you a student? There may be so many different reasons why you are a student, and each one has got a reason. Leave that aside. So always asking the question why helps you to understand the purpose. So that is one thing, and it definitely makes a difference. Let me reduce this size here. Then this was the actual question raised by Arjun at that battlefield. Why am I to fight here? Why this is important, this war? So for that, Lord Krishna answered very clearly, knowing what is right to do and doing what is right. This serves two important purposes: your personal growth and initiate a positive change around you. So basically, why? That is why spirituality, why Bhagavad-Gita, why now? And what is that I need to do? And what changes that I can expect? What is the outcome and what benefit I get as a student? And followed by that, how do I study? How long? And how do I evaluate my growth? So then we saw, basically, our Swami Chinmayananda Gurudev has given a clear perspective of what Bhagavad Gita does for you. The current status is that we are split between mind and intellect. Mind being the objective mind, and subjective mind is referred as buddhi, intellect. And that split is due to past impressions or vasanas, and because of which our perceptions get colored by that. The output is that we more often react to situations than respond to them. The process is to bring the objective and subjective mind together. In other words, bringing the mind and intellect together, and that means reduction of vasanas have to take place. So as we see in this animation, when the receptive mind called sound, touch, form, taste, smell, which deals with the world and how it responds to the external world in the form of speech, locomotion, hands, reproductive organ, excretion, which are governed by the intellect. So without the influence of vasanas, when we do that, so the resultant thing is that selfless endeavors end and it is replaced by selfless ones, which in other words, divinity in action. This initiates change within us, within and without us. So this is where we stopped in the last session. So at this point, it is clear the focus of Bhagavad Gita is to bring the end to vasanas. We must very clearly understand what vasanas mean and how ending the vasanas would result in freedom. In a higher balance, in the scriptures like Upanishads, etc., or even Gita, talks this state of ending of vasanas and living in that freedom without being pressurized by our past impressions and desires, etc., as moksha, liberation, salvation. But that state of freedom is more internal than external. It is not something that I become free and I can do whatever I want. It's not like that. In other words, it is not giving you licentiousness. It doesn't give you a license to do anything you want. It gives you a very joyful state, all right, but a responsible state, where an individual having gained the state of freedom, he becomes responsible for his own life and the people around him. Because at the present moment, I'm all bothered about what I would like to achieve, what I would like to enjoy, what I would like to accomplish. A person without any such inner desire for his own personal life alone is a person who can work for others, who can really selflessly engage in this world. That's why he becomes a living God in a sense, meaning just like the so-called, what we understand as God is one who is impersonal. He is not belonging to any particular race, creed, color, religion, or region, available for all, for everyone, to give help to everyone. In the same way, a person who has gained that inner freedom is one who is helpful to everyone around. And Krishna says in Gita, this is the actual essence of Upanishads as well. So in the next presentation, as we proceed on now, the question is, what is the philosophy of life? The philosophy of life, as portrayed by a Upanishad known as Kathopanishad, and based upon this Kathopanishad statement alone, Bhagavad-Gita actually started its teaching. As you will see now, the picture of Lord Krishna driving the chariot of Arjun is very familiar to all of us. This chariot has got Krishna as a driver and Arjuna as the owner of the chariot, and 4 horses which are being driven by Lord Krishna. And in the battlefield, Arjun asked Krishna to place the chariot in between 2 armies of his own as well as the army of the Kauravas. When he did that, he asked Krishna to stop there and said, I would like to see what is happening between our team or our own people and my cousins. I would like to evaluate who has a greater strength. Senayoru bihor madhye ratam stapayame achyuta. That's what he says. Gurudev in his commentary beautifully says about this particular situation. He says, all of us are in a battlefield. We are in between 2 forces, the negative and the positive. Negative forces are more powerful than the positive ones. Anger, lust, passion, greed, jealousy. These are more strong than compassion, love, sincerity, non-violence. Why? Because very often we find people around us adopting to negative reactions. If you look at TV, look at our own political leaders, it's so unfortunate. So unfortunate, we are living in a situation where everybody is mudslinging on each other for the sake of power, for the sake of money and status. And anger is there, lust, passion, greed, jealousy, frustration, depression, dejection, blaming each other, goes on. These are all the forces which we see around us. Even people of high-ranking, great business leaders. And Kathopanishad says that this, what you are going through, what we are going through in today's world, was there even before. In every age, such people were there. And those who are interested in personal growth, spiritual growth, consider world only as a field of a play field. What is most important to find out what is your role in that? How you can evolve yourself in this field instead of blaming anybody else. So in this context, I need to quote, and as you see here, first one it says is Atmanam Ratinam Vidhi. Understand yourself as the main player in this. You are the driver of a chariot. And shariram ratamevatu. Your body is the chariot in which you are traveling, right? And your wisdom is your driver. Your knowledge base is the driver. Mind is only that which connects you with the steering wheel. Here in the case of Gita Upadesha, the 4 horses are being controlled by the reins, and that is the mind. The horses are the senses. Senses are the horses, and the road on which we are traveling is called the world of senses. And this combination of things is what is called life. That is, yourself, you are the hero of the situation. Your body is the chariot. Your intellect, buddhi or wisdom is the driver. Your mind is the reins, and your sense organs are the horses which are running on the field called the world. Such picturization was given to us in Upanishad, Kathopanishad. Based upon this, Vyasa, the author of Bhagavad-Gita, has portrayed the situation in which Arjuna and Krishna are conversing in the form of a chariot in which Arjuna is sitting and Krishna is the driver, and Arjuna collapsed because of his inability to understand the situation, and he submits to the driver, that is Krishna, to ask him that what do I do right now? And the buddhi, the wisdom, is in turn giving advice to the ego, the individual there. So self, senses, mind together is the ego. Be directed by the wisdom, not by the whims of the senses. And road, the world is the same for the wise and for the otherwise. Meaning, the world is the same for a person who has correct knowledge and the person who is totally ignorant as well. Sense organs are the same. I also see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. Every one of us do. Even great people, great philosophers, great scientists, great political leaders, great men of achievement, they also have the same 5 senses. But how they saw the world, and Einstein, how did he see the world? How Mahatma Gandhi saw the world, how Buddha saw the world, how Shakespeare saw the world. So everyone, every field, a person, whether it's a science or politics or history, a person of great business acumen, such a person also saw with the same senses. But how they saw it depends upon what wisdom they had, what understanding they had, what is their knowledge base. Body is the same for all of us. Nobody is being created differently with the extra physical limbs and etc. No, it's all the same. All human bodies are the same. What gets confused here is the individuality called ego, the soul, which doesn't have a direction unless it submits to the correct knowledge. Therefore, Bhagavad-Gita is interested in increasing the wisdom, the buddhi, the intellect, the understanding, the awareness. And with that only, we will be able to see the world more purposeful, more useful. A field of opportunity, a field to work and evolve. So this is a vision of Upanishads. Atmanam Rathinam Viddhi. Understand your body to be, yourself to be the self, the owner. Shariram Ratamevatu, body as the chariot. Buddhim tu Saratim Viddhi, your buddhi is the driver. Mana Pragrahamevacha, mind is the reins. Indriyani Hayanahuhu, the sense organs are the horses. Vishayan Teshu Gocharan, the world is the road on which they travel. And this combination, Atma, the self, Indriya, senses, mind, Manaha, Yuktam, together, Bhokta, the Jiva, the individual, Iti Ahuhu. This way, Manishinaha Ahuhu. This is how men of wisdom talk about. Now, so the journey is how the ego, the individual, journeying through the life situations. So what is spirituality and why do I need at this moment Let us look at it in a nutshell. Spirituality is an art of self-perfection, practice of self-correction. We have all come into this world or born into this world, and each one of us are so unique. Our thoughts are unique, our emotions are unique, our way of learning, and even in the given same field, two people learn differently. Some learn faster than another. Some learn things that others would not even notice. So everyone has a unique perception of life. But in the process, we come to err or do a lot of mistakes in our emotional situations or in our understanding of ourselves and others. So the art of perfection, according to Gita, is art of self-correction. How you are eager to correct yourself. After all, science is also about correction only. The way the scientists saw the world some 2 decades or 3 decades back is not the way the scientists see today. Why? Because they have got a better equipment. They have got a better knowledge base than the previous one. They have got a different means to look at things. And the technology has improved in such a way that they can do things much faster than others. And they can correct the errors much faster. 100 years back, nobody would have thought that somebody can land in the moon. Nobody would have thought of traveling in the space. But today we can go to explore the space of far in millions of light years away. What is there? As of today, they have also found one more planet next to Pluto. Recently, that came out just today morning. So they could see much beyond what the eyes can see, which was not the case some 100 years back, probably. So in the external world, we are able to bring about new awareness, new understanding about what's happening around us. But what about inside? What about our own mind? What is going on within us? How do we come to understand that? So the world of service is where an individual interacting with people around can correct oneself. A person living in solitude, not dealing with anybody in the world, any person in the world, may think that he is all perfect. Only when he or she comes to the people and talk to them and interact with them, one comes to know how difficult it is to handle the emotions and ego and priorities and prejudices of everyone else around him or her. Especially when you are a student, you may have a very small set of people with whom you interact. Others you don't even care because they are not important to you. Your friend circle, you may go with them, dance with them, do garba with them, have a vacation, all those things you can do, and you don't care about the rest of the world. Most people live like that only. But when you come to a place where you have to start working, and you will realize that you cannot avoid people. You have a colleague, you have your boss, you have others, you have customers to deal with. And you cannot just reject them because they are part and parcel of your business world. You have to deal with them. So the world of people, their emotions, their priorities, their prejudices, how do I, through the world that is in front of me, which I have to interact with every day, how do I correct myself instead of blaming the world for what it is? That's the first level. Second one is studying the spiritual science and taking responsibility for personal growth. Our physical body grows whether you want it or not. It grows faster than you think. My nails grow faster than I think. I thought that only last week I cut it. It won't grow for next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No, it has its own momentum. My body grows old. My hair, of course, is not there right now. But everything happens on its own phase. You cannot decide that. So this physical body's growth is not predictable by you and I. Whereas what has to grow is, most importantly, our awareness. and the way we take responsibility for our personal growth. That happens only when we start studying, understanding the mind, knowing how the mind works, and observing yourself constantly. What works, what emotions are beautiful, what emotions are dangerous, how do I express myself, what are my priorities, how do I deal with frustrating situation, happy situation, sorrowful ones, how to keep my mind stable, emotionally balanced. What are the urges within me I have, which come to express when I want it or not? What are the places where I err, where I make a mistake, why I should learn from them? How do I learn from my own mistakes? So taking responsibility for one's own personal growth. Next one is a little more subtle, is to understand beyond the mind. The spiritual science says we are essentially spiritual beings, acting like human beings, not other way around, that we are human beings trying to become spiritual. We are basically the expression of the Lord. But at the present moment, we are put in a limited environment in which we have to experience the world according to our karma or the actions of the past. So spirituality is a path of realization of the self, silent transformation from ego self to the spiritual self. How to transform from the individual into totality. So this process comes out of thinking. So that is the next level, more subtle level. And the final one is, spirituality is to realize the universal oneness, casting away all differences based on religion, caste, culture, color, creed, and status. This is what is referred as in Bhagavad-Gita as well as in Upanishad as moksha, realizing the oneness, realizing the connecting link, realizing the one which one which passes through everyone as a single moment, single force. Call it God, that's what religion would like to call it the spiritual being. The spirituality explains that as Brahman, the absolute. So these four different things are to be are the focus of spirituality: service, study, thinking, and realizing the truth. Now, one may say, is it not the science is also in the process of perfection, self-perfection? Science is constantly engaging in making everything error-free. Right? Like now, I'm talking to you through this facility, the Zoom, and some of you are 100 miles away from me, some of them are 1,000 miles away from me. But I'm able to talk to you, you are able to see me, etc. So some 10 years back or so, we would not have achieved this. It's not possible for us to have a video conferencing like this. Forget about in 25 years, but then when I was growing up, even phone was a rare thing. So today we can see, talk, interact as though you are just standing next to me. How is that possible? Because they tried to see what are all the things that what cannot happen should be made to happen. What is impossible today should be made possible tomorrow. This is the So now the science is all about giving the error-free, perfect world, external world. Now you look at this chart that is in front of you. Science attempts to improve the condition of the world, whereas the spirituality is attempting to improve the mind of the observer. The basis of science is innumerable hypotheses on possible explanations, whereas spirituality is based upon the personal experience of many generations of sages who have observed themselves all over the world. Science tries to provide means for higher standard of living, whereas spirituality imparts us the standard of life. The question that because science always asks is, what is this world? What is this world of matter? Whereas the spiritual science is about who am I? Who is the observer? Who is the one who is watching the world? Who is the one who is experiencing the world? Irrespective of what I am seeing, my question is, who is seeing? So that's his world of spirituality. The field of investigation for the science is world of matter, physical and psychological responses. Whereas the field of investigation for spirituality is the state of consciousness, waking, dream, and deep sleep. The three states of experiences that all of us go through every day. Science attempts to conquer the nature through knowledge of the matter, whereas spirituality strives to conquer the mind through knowledge of the self. While science is a growing tradition, present research is based on truthfulness of the past conclusions. Sometimes the past conclusions may be a hasty conclusion without proper information. So every age refutes the previous conclusions through new understanding. Whereas science of spirituality is that which is not based upon somebody's observation. It is the truth as revealed to the people. That's why we have this word Shruti, which means that the truth revealed itself. And by definition, the truth is that which is not subject to change anytime. So therefore, conclusions are confirmed by hundreds of sages in every century, in every tradition. So this is the difference between science and spirituality. If you really talk to a scientist of a higher order, whether you like it or not, he will become spiritual. I have seen many of them who have very diligently worked on the science. A physicist I met some few years back, and he was saying that, ultimately every matter is nothing but a momentum of consciousness. He was not a person of spirituality. He has not even studied much about spirituality, but he said, I come to realize in my own observation and experimentation, at the subatomic level, the minutest particle is intelligence. Minutest particle is intelligence, meaning its behavior cannot be predicted. An intelligent being is one who does not live predictably. Like you look at yourself, can you be predicted by anybody else, how you behave? Because your moods change, your emotions change, your values change, your priorities change. Therefore, what you feel important today is different from what you feel important tomorrow. At any given moment, our priorities would change. Okay, now I want to sleep. Nobody can ask me why I'm sleeping, because I feel like sleeping. Because my body needs it. I understand that. I sleep. Now I have to sit and work because my priority is complete a task. So nobody dictates terms what I should do. I'm independent being. So I'm unpredictable I cannot be predicted by anybody else except myself. Even sometimes I am unpredictable to myself. So an intelligent being is unpredictable. His or her reactions to situations cannot be predicted. It depends upon so many factors. In the same way, he said, at the subatomic level, I have found that the minutest particle is unpredictable, which means it has intelligence. What we call it as a matter is nothing but consciousness in momentum. I was quite stunned when he made this statement. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, in spirituality, as much as I know, he told me, you talk about consciousness as the core of every being. Yes. Every living being. Yes. That is the nature of matter as well. At the apparent level, it looks like everything is predictable with respect to the matter. But the very core level, they are unpredictable presence. So, what do you call it as a science about matter, about predictability, is only at the very superficial level. At the deeper level, they are all still working on the unpredictable nature of the consciousness. Unpredictable nature of consciousness means it is not conditioned by matter. That's what I mean. It is not conditioned by inert things. A consciousness is unconditioned by matter or physical reality. A spiritual reality is that which lives in a different level of consciousness. It is not limited by physical things, the physical matter, inert things. So, the science of spirituality is to recognize that there is a living presence in each one of us. And it is independent, it is free. All that we presently go through as conditions of matter is because of unhealthy relationship with matter. Unhealthy priority that we have given to the matter. Like for example, if I'm hungry, I eat. Now, what do I eat? It's decided by what? If it is decided by the mind, then I'm conditioned by the mind. If what I'm eating is to appease my hunger and not appease my mind, I eat whatever I need, that's all. But if I am to satisfy my mind, I have to eat what I like to eat. You see the difference? What I need to eat versus what I like to eat. Most of the times, what I like to eat may not appease my hunger. My only eat appeases my mind. Hunger remains. So is the case of most of us who go by the fancies and whims of the mind. Anyway, so Gita teaches us that in the science of spirituality, which is also a science, the process is self-correction at the core level, at the very deeper level of ourselves, not at the external level of physical body and the external world of matter, which is the world of science anyway, which takes care of externally correcting things so that to some extent we can have a comfortable, joyful, convenience, and various other things that we can use to make ourselves comfortable, like the faster flights and easy communication, quickly eating, cooking fast, and washing our clothes fast, and communicating quickly, and all sort of things, conveniences are the field of science. Whereas with the very core level, it's totally a different world altogether. It's spirituality. So now let us look at the difference between religion and spirituality. Many people think that it's one and the same, but it is not. Why it is not? Let us look at here. Religion provides basic discipline to us. There's no doubt about that. Whereas spirituality talks about self-perfection. Religion forgives mistakes by submission to God. Whereas spirituality guides in self-correction by taking responsibility. Religion develops faith, whereas spirituality determines self-will. Religion teaches us about how to love God. Spirituality guides us to experience God as one's own self. Spirituality, religion is in the form of prayer, worship, and service. The main practices are prayer, worship, and service. Whereas the main practices in spirituality is study, reflection, and meditation. And in the world of religion, it's a collective endeavor. Mass gathering, doing puja or rituals together. Whereas in the spirituality, it's mostly a personal endeavor. It's an individual who grows, individual who takes one step at a time. Now, when I say religion gives you discipline, it is a must for an individual to have a religious background to become a successful spiritual person. While Gita does not necessarily talk about religion as such. In fact, I often tell, Krishna never went to a temple. He was a revolutionary of his times. He went to a temple only for one purpose, to kidnap Rukmini. That's the only reason he went to temple. So in his times, Krishna was a revolutionary because he believed in the reality within than any external worship. And that's why through Gita, he never teaches about how to do puja or fasting and feasting. All those things he never talks about. If at all he spoke about a pujanam or puja, he said, I believe in love with which you approach me than what with which you worship me. I'm not interested in your flower throwing at me or offering some fruits and eatables. No, I'm not. So he said that Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahrudam ashnami prayatatmanaha. In one place he says, when you give a flower to me, or you give a fruit to me, or even offer water to me, or even put a leaf to me in front of me, I would like to have the love that with which you give to me. That's important to me than the material things that you offer. So from that standpoint, you look at it, he's not interested in the procedures, the rituals, the things that you do in the name of God. I'm not interested. Are you doing things with love? Are you doing things with sincerity? Are you doing things with an attitude of giving up, sacrifice? Then that's important to me. You're internally what intention you have is more important than what action that you do. So this is where that's a striking difference between religion and spirituality. While religion is about rituals, spirituality is about spiritual. Ritual without spirit is merely a ritual, a mechanical act. What is that intention, purpose with which you do a thing? That has to be noble. While, as I said, religion gives you the discipline of doing things, doing the right thing in the right way, while spirituality emphasizes with the right thought, the right intention, right purpose, right attitude. And when you have done something which is wrong, by mistake, when you go to a temple, you ask for forgiveness, you kneel in front of God, oh Lord, forgive me, I've committed some mistake. Yes, that is allowed in religion. In fact, that is what you are expected to do when you submit to God. But where spirituality says, all right, you are feeling bad about what you did wrong, right? Bad. Have you stopped it? Have you grown from that level to the next level? Would you stop doing that next time? Do you take responsibility for what you have done? That is where spirituality comes in. It is not that you make mistakes and keep on going to the temple and then submit to it. Not allowed. Every time you make a mistake, sit back, look at it, grow from there. Go to the next level, correct yourself. So, as I said, this spirituality is about the individual self-growth. No doubt, religion develops faith. Faith in something unknown, not seen, not perceivable. God, up above in the heavens, governing all of us, taking care of the world. The world of phenomena, the external forces are governed by one power called God. All that is true from the religious parlance, religious standpoint. Whereas spirituality says, all said and done, this world of matter around you can affect only at the physical level, while you have to grow at the level of the soul. Your way you approach the world of matter is most important, which is called Purushartha in Sanskrit, in otherwise known as free will, self-will. How much freedom you have, how much knowledge you have through which you will face the unpredictable world. How do you face situations that are not predictable by you, tragedies and sorrows, success and failure. Everything will be coming to you. How you face it? If you have a faith in one particular God and nothing happens out of worshipping Him, and you go to change another one, which is unfortunate. That's what most people are. Oh, today I'm going to Shiva temple, another way Vishnu temple, another Hanuman. You keep on changing. Why? Faith is changing. But spirituality says it doesn't matter what God you worship. What is most important is what strength you have to face everyday life, face uncertainties. Religion teaches how to love God, how to have a feeling of affection, feeling of dedication to God. Whereas spirituality teaches us that God whom you are worshipping in a temple or a mosque or a church, how to own Him as your own self. Thereafter, you don't need to go to a temple to see God. Thereafter, you don't need to go to a church to converse with Him. You don't need to go to a mosque to plead to Him. Within. He's living with you 24 hours a day, and He is living much closer than anybody else. Observe His presence within you. Make your life holy. Sanctify yourself. So main practices in religion is prayer, worship, service, external. Whereas main practice in spirituality is where you study, you observe yourself, and go deeper within yourself to find the holy presence, the divine presence within yourself. While religion, no doubt, helps us to come together in the form of festivals like you have now Garba, and then coming together as a society, as a community, coming together, doing things, or going to a service field and working together. Or if somebody is in trouble, go as a religious group and go and help that person. That's how religion brings people together. While spirituality is a class apart. You can really serve the people around only when you have become free of wants, free of your own desires. If I have a personal desire and serve somebody, I still expect something to happen out of it for myself. Whereas a person who has become more selfless, he would be able to serve the people much better because his mind is freer. It doesn't expect anything from anyone. It doesn't, nothing in return. No favoritism, no expectation, no disappointments. Such a mind is what spirituality develops into. So, such a person of spirituality also goes to the world to serve like any religious person would do, but the expectation from the world is minimum and almost zero. So, such a person will never get disappointed. Which even if he is not noticed that he is doing what he is supposed to do, his mind is not elated because somebody is praising him, or is not deflated because somebody is ridiculing him. No. Because he would say, I'm doing because that's the right thing to do. Not because you look at it, not because I'm noticed, not because everybody is praising me, because this is the right thing to do and I have to do it. So that way, the spiritual science is one class apart. It makes you much more refined, cultured, sensitive, observing person. And that's where it stays much higher level than a religion. Now, continuing on this, how does spirituality help us in our daily life? According to Gita, what is that is immediate benefit that we get out of practicing what Gita teaches us. In this context only, Gurudev came up with the, before that, sorry. So, and now you see an example here, a observation by a psychiatrist. An 84-year-old woman was brought to my office by her 60-year-old daughter for evaluation for a recurring depression. The patient reported that she had lost 3 children. 18-year-old son died in an auto crash. 24-year-old son committed suicide, and 54-year-old son died 3 years ago after suffering painful cancerous condition for 3 years. We never understand these things, but certainly is not God's fault. We will never know, she said. Her faith is basically my, because of our firm conviction in God. Basically, my daughter remaining single for my sake, how would I expect me not to get depressed? In such predicaments, one should recognize that the patient is suffering the following conditions. That is hopelessness, meaninglessness, isolation and loneliness, reduction in religious faith. Now you see, most people go through this because one comes to understand that life is unpredictable, things are happening haphazard, and God is punishing me. As such things happen to any one of us, we lose faith in God. Why God is punishing me? There is no God. Because if He's there, He has no mercy. He's cruel, He's violent, He's punishing for no reason. Either there is no reason or reasons I don't know. So such kind of conditions are possible because these things can happen to anyone. Recently, just now, I was conversing with somebody who said that a couple, the man was only 56 or 57-year-old, and just last weekend, while he was playing tennis, he just collapsed and died on the court, at the court, just like that. Previous week only, he went through a physical examination and he found to be perfect. He just disappeared from the scene. Now, think about the family that is around. They have absolutely no clue why it happened. He's all hale and hearty, healthy. The doctors have given a clean sheet to him. So you're okay, you're perfect, then gone. Now, how cruel life for them. Suddenly feeling lost, suddenly feeling empty, purposeless. The wife would have felt, or the children would have felt suddenly that something very cruel happened to them, and no human being is responsible for that. So even human beings are not responsible, immediately turn to God. You are the one who did this. So when such things happen, you feel suddenly, being victimized. So in such situation, what will help them is to recognize that instead of drug and any kind of other stimuli to quieten the mind, introduce to meditation, introduce them to calm down by accepting situations as they are. Don't blame God, don't blame people, don't blame anything. Recognize that life is unpredictable. Life is not according to you and I. Everyone's journey in life is decided by his or her own actions. Not God is responsible, not you are responsible, not anybody is responsible. Not the medicines are responsible. Not the government is responsible. It is individual's karma, individual's thoughts and actions. So therefore, don't blame yourself. Don't blame anyone in this. Recognize that life is unpredictable. As much as possible, we can contribute, live joyfully, we should. When it comes time that we have to go, we have to go. So make it more practical, make it more acceptable, and the ability to take things as it comes and then let go of the pressure, let go of the stress, let go of the frustration, let go of the depression. Calm down, look within, find your own being, find calmness and restfulness, peacefulness within yourself by accepting the unpredictable things. So this is the way Krishna approaches the subject matter. So we will see the next set of slides in the next week, how Gurudev brought this ancient wisdom by Bhagavan Krishna to a man of the world of today. Because in his times, Gurudev excelled in his explanation of Bhagavad-Gita because of its unique approach to the subject matter, which we will see in our next session. So now it's a time for you all to If you have questions, you can raise. So your question is, how does science of spirituality talk about how to respond to the world? Is it by speech? Is that what you mean?
No, Swamiji. Clarity of speech, how does it relate to the mind, and how does it go beyond the mind to the intellect and go beyond the intellect to the self?
Why clarity of speech is important right now? I don't understand the relevance. See, in the analogy that is given is that intellect is one which basically controls it is supposed to control the mind, right? Because mind is being receiving only the stimuli coming from the senses. If it without the consultation with the intellect, so it is according to the introduction given by Gurudev, the intellect is the one which is having the correct information to respond to through the senses. But in case the mind is not consulting with the intellect, and on its own it acts based upon its vasanas, emotions, etc., then it will become so unruly. That's what is called reactive mind. Where a responding mind is one which consults the intellect and then responds to it, which means it passes and recognizes a situation based upon the previous input or previous experiences. It knows that this is the right thing to do, not the right thing to do. That's with consulting with the buddhi. So that is like a driver in a vehicle. He decides where the car should go, not the any other thing, not the steering wheel, not the tires. In the case of a chariot, if the horses decide to go wherever they want to go, they will never reach anywhere. It is the person who is driving the chariot who decides where to go. So it's that way the buddhi must be the guiding force and not the senses by themselves. So that's the idea. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhat bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.